Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Why Did I Lose? Today, our lesson is going to be that if you have an advantage, a net worth advantage, but you spend your money on items that aren't optimal, then it's kind of like not having an advantage at all. And if we look at this draft here, they have a Spectre, Warlock, Faceless Void, three really strong heroes in the late game. We have Medusa and PA. We have Snapfire. We're pretty good in the late game too, except that Undying and Coddle, they kind of drop off. And TA and Axe, they don't drop off as hard. So the enemy team will actually win in the late game. So we need to push our advantage when we get one and try to win the game. Now, this is a position 5 Undying. This is a Herald game. And one thing I want to show here in Dota Plus, so you bought the Blade Mail, which was 2k. You were doing really well this game. But this Blade Mail just isn't really necessary. And because I have Dota Plus, I'm going to show it off. But just because I know other people don't have this feature, you can actually see how much damage your Blade Mail ended up doing throughout the game. Now, I happen to know that you kind of messed up on some of the Blade Mails. You forgot to use them a couple times. But the thing is, over the course of the game, it was only 1700 damage. Soul Rip, just plain auto attacks. Oops, didn't mean to move that way. I don't know what this is. All the Undying zombies, they do more damage than this Blade Mail. And the thing is, your job isn't even to do damage. You're Undying. You just draw people to you and amplify your team. But if you have a Blade Mail, people aren't going to want to focus on you, and they're going to focus on other people. Now, some games, it is okay to get a Blade Mail, but I personally don't feel like this is one of those games. I think, for example, a mech would be a lot better. Or instead of Tranquil Boots, Arcane Boots, and we can build into a Greaves, Medallion, Ring of Basilius, Raindrops, Casual Clarities. A lot of those would be better. Because Soul Rip, and this is another thing, the skill build is a little unoptimal. The current build that's really popular is to max Soul Rip. And that's because it's a very low cooldown, very effective spell. If you have mana, you have health. That's why you don't really need Tranquil Boots. And Arcane Boots, or even just Brown Boots and some of those other items we mentioned, are more favorable. Especially when you have a Coddle who will provide mana. You'll just always be healthy, and you will do a lot of damage with Soul Rip. So here we're going to get our first case of using Blade Mail to see why it doesn't really help. So we're going to use this Spectre. We're going to pop Blade Mail. We return a bit of damage with the Blade Mail. But you notice for a lot of that, she wasn't even hitting you, and our damage was coming from the Snapfire ult. In this early game, Snapfire ult is all the damage we need. In the late game, TA and Medusa will be almost all the damage we need. The Blade Mail is not quite necessary. It's more important to keep our team alive through constant Soul Rips, which from level 1 to level 4 goes from 24 seconds to 6 seconds, or having something like a mech, a Vlad's, which provides a lifesteal aura and amplifies our team. All of those would be a little bit better. So we're just going to cut through the next roughly 10 minutes, because that's about when you are doing really well here. If we look at the player net worth, at 10 minutes, you are actually quite high, even though you were the position 5. But because your items were not the most helpful to help your team, we aren't able to push our advantage. And so if we look at the team scoreboard, instead of starting to push an advantage here into a victory, it kind of remains even because we're not doing that much with the item until the enemy team starts to win instead. So we're going to go look at these 10 minutes and see where the Blade Mail is not so great compared to other things we could have gotten. Now, for one, this is a minute or two after the last clip. I don't think you should have TP'd top. I think Coddle should protect this on his own, and you guys push bottom. That's kind of a bonus fact. But let's play this out anyways. You were kind of chasing Faceless Void a little bit. Now Axe is here. You kind of forget to use the Blade Mail, although you got called in between anyways. You try to use Soul Rip, but it's not very good because it's just level 1, and it's a super long cooldown, so we're only get to use it once here. But actually, thanks to Blinding Light and now Tombstone, they're a little distracted. Right here, you'd be able to use Soul Rip again if you had maxed Soul Rip instead of Tombstone. Tombstone spawns more zombies, but frankly, one spawning is kind of good enough, really. where the maxed out Soul Rip is kind of a lot better. Or what if we didn't have a Blade Mail? What if we had a mech? Right now, you heal yourself. Maybe you have a magic stick as well. You heal yourself, you Soul Rip yourself. Axe is suddenly feeling very unhappy because he's under tower. He's got some zombies chasing him. He's got creeps. Someone's TPing in. And it doesn't look like he's going to get the kill and get the speed boost to run out of here anymore. But instead, because you don't have, like, even if you would pop Blade Mail there, he's still going to kill you. And you actually get the return kill on Axe. But I think you can easily imagine a version of this where you survive and Axe dies if we had a mech and if we had Soul Rip instead. And then because we have Soul Rip, we can even heal this Keeper of the Light, and now we have a lot of healthy heroes here. And look at this. We're even going to kill Faceless Void. We have 5 heroes up here. Probably a bit of an overreaction, but while we're all up here, assuming you had been alive right now, why not push this top tower and get the ball rolling to push our team into the lead? Let's start getting these tier 1 towers, because that really helps to open up the map, and all the gold helps your team jump forward. But instead, your team kind of gets, I don't know, everyone kind of like scatters a little bit. And, you know, without you being the frontliner, I kind of get it. At the same time, I do think your team probably could have pushed that, so that's kind of a separate issue. Another very brief cut, but here you are, you've returned top from your TP mid, and it looks like a fight could break out. You're right in the middle. Cast the Tombstone. Look at the damage from Snapfire ult. It's kind of all your team needs. You're not even using the Blade Mail right now. They're not focused on you. Now there's a Coddle ult distracting them from you. Your team's diving. You can, I mean, it's fine to dive, but it really helps to have some kind of AoE heal and extra armor like the mech provides here. Now you actually get chronoed here, but you don't even die, even though you don't use this Blade Mail. Oh, you use it at the end, but it didn't really do anything. So even if you use the Blade Mail more optimally and got a bit more damage out of it, I just don't think it's really necessary. Right now, I think if you had Soul Rip healed, you stay in the lane, you Soul Rip yourself, and suddenly you're okay to stay here. Coddle uses Chakra Magic on you, and then you Soul Rip Coddle. And now you have 1, 2, 3, 4 heroes up here. You just killed 3. Now let's get this tower. But we don't. So this is the second case where not only your items and skill build, but also kind of the team's playstyle. You guys get the kill, and then you guys kind of scatter out. And Coddle barely gets away, but you get pushed off this tower again. And this tower really should have fallen however many minutes ago at the first chance we had to get this. Now, actually, this is kind of a step back a couple seconds. First, you have to be near creeps for Soul Rip to work. Oops. But you actually end up walking all the way home because you're missing so many resources. But if you had the mana, if you stay near him, if you have Soul Rip maxed, you could have stayed in lane the whole time, pushing top, doing things, being active. Instead, we're spending a lot of time running home, which means we aren't doing anything. We're running home. The mech, the mana, all of those would have helped. Our back top, yet again, killing Axe. It would be great to heal her right now, or to mech her right now. You see a very common trend here, where if we're healthy, we can keep doing things. And if we're not healthy, well, we can't do things. And so your team really needs to win, or at least put yourselves in a position to win early. But right now we're kind of getting repelled. We're getting some kills, but we aren't turning it into any objectives, which not only open up the map for us, but the extra gold really helps us to get ahead. Now here we're doing another tower dive, but we don't have the mech. We don't have the spam heals. Now this is a bit too far. We really just want that tier 1 tower. But this whole time we kind of forgot to use Blade Mail again. And as a passive item, Blade Mail is not very good. Not to mention that the 28 damage really goes to waste on supports. We just don't auto-attack that often. Undying, he auto-attacks some, but being alive and getting to cast more decays is more important than having damage from Blade Mail or returning damage. You just need to survive. And I know some people will say that having the active from Blade Mail deters people from hitting you, which is true. But in this game, I don't think that's what you want. I actually think you want people to hit you because otherwise they're hitting your PA, they're hitting your Medusa, they're hitting your Snapfire. I don't want that. Our team in this game does not have a true initiator, and so the best way to draw attention is just to be this tanky frontliner that people want to hit. And if you have Blade Mail, they don't want to hit you. Now here's the last one we're going to do. The enemy team is chasing your PA. You come in from behind, ult, tombstone. You Blade Mailed a little early, so you Blade Mailed when you walked in, but no one was quite hitting you yet. And so we kind of waste a lot of the duration of this. So, in other words, Blade Mail hasn't really done anything this fight. Which, yes, maybe it would have done a little more if you had used it sooner. But what I'm trying to say, what we're about to see, all happens without the Blade Mail. We can pretend the Blade Mail doesn't exist. Look, Snapfire ult, once again doing a lot of damage. This is a very close. Look how low all of you were. This is a very close fight.
Thanks for playing Dota 2.
And if we had that team fight item, that mech, to give us this burst heal, you probably win this fight without losing very many heroes. Maybe you lose one, maybe you lose two, but that's still better than losing this many. And now Medusa walks in. She cleans up a little, and she tries to man fight Spectre. Kind of actually pushes off the Void, but eventually she runs out of mana, and now she's at risk. If just one or two other heroes had survived with the help of that mech, Spectre would not be fighting Medusa one-on-one. You'd have multiple heroes, and you'd probably, at the least, you'd save Medusa, but instead she dies here.
Killing spree. Impossible kill.
We didn't even use the Blade Mail. That's how close this fight was. If we had used the Blade Mail, I'm not convinced. Like, maybe you get the TA kill a little sooner, but then you guys still got killed by the Warlock bonds and the Axe Spins and all of that. So I don't think the Blade Mail would have really saved you from that. I think the AoE heal to counteract the AoE damage from Spectre and from Warlock is a lot more important. So to me, this game, and from here, it slowly drifts into a loss because they start to establish their lead. And to me, a lot of this is because we were really strong in these 10 minutes. It doesn't look like it as a team, we weren't, but as a hero, as the Undying, we were quite strong. But our skill build and our items didn't quite help us do what we needed to do. Now, of course, your team had other issues. It wasn't just your skill build and item build. Your team missed a couple chances to push on their own, all of that. But just to focus on something you can do to improve, that's what I want to say. First, double check on what the common skill builds are on the hero. So Soul Rip right now for Undying is much more common, and that just matches what you needed to do coincidentally. But then your item build will also be very important. In some games, you need different items. I would generally say Blade Mail does not really help Undying do what Undying wants to do in team fights. So a lot of other support items are a little bit better at helping you not only enable yourself, but enable your team to take objectives and to actually put yourself in a position to win. So that, I will stop there. Thank you for watching. I hope that was helpful. And let me know if you ever have any questions. Goodbye.